Walk into any pawn shop in any golf town in America, and you will see roughly the same thing. A back corner with 20 or 30 sets of used clubs, most of them from the 2000 era, leaning against each other in green and gray staff bags. The shop owner will tell you they cannot sell them. Buyers want the new TaylorMade Stealth, the new Callaway Paradigm, the new Titleist TSR. Anything older than 5 years is treated like a dead category. And yet hidden in those bins are some of the most respected club designs in the history of the sport. Clubs that, if you put them in a launch monitor next to a brand new equivalent, would hold their own. Clubs that PGA Tour pros still play, sometimes secretly, often in tournaments. This documentary is about those clubs. The 2000-era pieces of equipment that the marketing department wants you to forget exist, and the reason they still show up in bags 2 decades later. The first place to look is the wedge category, and the wedges that matter from the 2000 almost all come from a single line, Titleist Vokey. The spin-milled series, introduced in 2006 and continued through the next several years, was the first wedge line to use precision CNC machined grooves that produced consistent spin from wet and dry lies. Bob Vokey, working out of the Titleist facility in Oceanside, California, designed the heads to fit specific bounce and grind preferences from tour players. The result was a wedge category that did not become obsolete. To this day, certain tour pros still bag pre-2010 Vokey wedges, refusing to switch to the current generation because the feel and turf interaction are different. On the used market, a clean Vokey SM4 or SM5 wedge from around 2010 can still outperform many wedges sold new today, especially for the player who prefers a softer, more traditional sole. But wedges are not the only area where the 2000 produced equipment that is held up. The iron category from that decade contains some of the most copied designs in modern golf. The Mizuno MP32, MP33, and later MP67 forged blades, built in the Mizuno facility in Hiroshima, Japan, used a grain flow forging process that produced the softest feel and the most precise weight distribution in the category. Modern Mizuno Pro irons are direct descendants of those heads. Fitters at Club Champion and True Spec still reference MP-era specs as the baseline for what a forged iron should feel like at impact. A used set of MP32s, properly reshafted with a modern steel like Project X LZ or True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour issue, plays at the same level as flagship players' irons sold today. The grain flow process has not been improved in 20 years. The shape is timeless, and the prices on the used market are a fraction of what a new Mizuno Pro set costs. The same logic applies to Ping. The Ping i3, i2, and S58 irons from the late 1990s and early 2000 have stayed in circulation because of one trait that the marketing literature rarely mentions: build quality. Karsten Solheim's manufacturing philosophy at Ping headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona, was to build clubs that lasted forever. The hosels were stamped with a precision that does not exist in current cost-engineered production. The cavity-back design of the i2 became so successful that Ping had to defend it in court multiple times. Many mid-handicappers who tried modern Pings and went back to a used set of i3 blades will tell you quietly that the older clubs felt better. The data does not always agree, but the feel preference is real. There is one more category from the 2000 that genuinely changed the game and is still in active service: the hybrid. Adams Golf, working out of Plano, Texas, released the Adams Idea Hybrid line in 2002, and within a year, the Rescue Club spread across the entire industry. The Adams Idea Pro and Idea A7 hybrids from the mid-2000s are still routinely seen in mid-handicap bags. The tailor-made rescue line from the same era performs similarly. The hybrid as a category was effectively invented in that decade, and the original designs are still selling on used markets because the engineering was correct from the start. Modern hybrids have refined sole geometry and adjustable hosels. They have not fundamentally improved the head shape. Now the driver category. The 2000s was the era of the tailor-made R7 quad and the tailor-made burner. The R7 quad, released in 2004, was the first movable weight driver, and its influence over the next 20 years of design cannot be overstated. The burner line, especially the burner bubble and the burner plus from 2009, became the value benchmark for the category. To be clear, a 2005 R7 quad will not match the ball speed of a 2025 tailor-made Key 10. The face technology has genuinely improved, but for the golfer with a moderate swing speed who values a familiar feel and a low price, a used R7 in good condition is still a perfectly viable driver. The same is true of a Callaway Big Bertha Diablo or a Titleist 909 D2 from that era. Not the longest, not the most forgiving, but still in the conversation, and at 1/10 the price. The Cleveland CG Series deserves its own mention. Cleveland Golf in the 2000 era quietly produced some of the most respected wedges and irons of the decade. The CG14 wedge, with its zip groove technology, became the workhorse for thousands of golfers. The CG15, CG16, and Cleveland 588 wedges followed. On the iron side, the CG7 and CG7 Tour were forged-feeling cavity backs that delivered tour quality at value pricing. Cleveland never quite recovered the same momentum after the brand shifted hands in subsequent decades, but the equipment from that era still trades briskly on used markets, often at half the price of equivalent current models. The putter category is where 2000-era equipment has actually appreciated in value rather than depreciated. The Scotty Cameron Newport 2 from around 2003, particularly the head cover variants Tiger Woods used during his major championship run, can fetch premium prices on collector markets. But the truth applies more broadly. Almost any Scotty Cameron from the 2000 era, especially the Studio Stainless line and the Studio Style series, plays as well as a brand new Scotty. The milling tolerances were set in that decade. The face inserts and finishes have varied since, but the underlying head shapes, the toe hang, and the alignment systems have not fundamentally improved. A used 2005 Newport 2 in clean condition is still a tour-quality putter, and the same is true of 2000-era Odyssey 2 balls, Bettinardi BB series, and Yes Tracy putters. The shaft conversation also deserves a moment because it is the variable that most often gets ignored when judging 2000-era clubs. Many sets from that decade left the factory with steel shafts like True Temper Dynamic Gold or Project X 6.0, which remain industry standards. A Mizuno MP32 from 2004 with a fresh set of Project X LZ shafts and modern grips is, in feel and feedback, indistinguishable from a current Mizuno Pro 243 with the same shafts. The chassis was right then. The shafts and grips are the only components that wear out. Restoring a 2000-era set costs a fraction of buying new, and the result is often better fitted than an off-the-rack new set. There is also a category worth mentioning that has nearly disappeared from the modern landscape, the Hogan and McGregor late era. Hogan Apex Edge forged irons from the early 2000s, made before the brand changed hands and quality declined, remain some of the finest forged irons ever produced. McGregor Io-Matic blades from that decade, made in the original Albany, Georgia facility, were used by Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, and several other Hall of Fame players for portions of their careers. Both brands struggled in subsequent decades, But the clubs themselves still exist, and for collectors who know what to look for, they trade well above their original retail price. The fairway wood category from the 2000 also deserves mention. The Titleist 906 F2 and 906 F4 fairway woods, released in the mid-2000s, are still played by a surprising number of mid to low handicap golfers. The tailor-made V Steel 3 wood, with its rail-sole geometry, became one of the most beloved fairway woods of the decade. Callaway Steelhead 3 woods from the same era are routinely found in used bins, and they perform within yards of modern equivalents off the deck. Fairway woods are one of the categories where the 2000-era designs have aged exceptionally well, partly because the engineering challenge of a fairway wood is simpler than that of a driver, and partly because the head shapes have not fundamentally changed since. So which 2000-era clubs are actually worth playing today, not just owning? The honest answer is more pieces than the industry will admit. A set of Mizuno MP32 forged irons with modern shafts, a Vokey spin-milled wedge from 2008, a Scotty Cameron Newport 2 from 2003, a tailor-made burner driver, or a Titleist 909 D2 if the price is right, a Cleveland CG14 wedge, a used set of Ping i3 blades for the mid-handicapper who values build quality. Every one of these clubs is competitive with brand new equipment for the right player. And most of them are available on the used market for a fraction of what they cost new. The reason the golf industry does not want you to know this is the same reason it never publishes a list like this in its marketing materials. The yearly release cycle depends on golfers believing that their current bag is obsolete. The truth is that the 2000 era was, by many measures, the peak decade for build quality and design coherence in the sport. The clubs from that era did not become bad. The marketing budget moved on to the next product cycle, and the clubs that survived became one of the best-kept secrets in the game. So the next time you walk past a pawn shop bin full of 2000-era equipment, slow down. Some of the best clubs in the building are sitting in that corner. They are just wearing the wrong year on the head. A used set of Mizuno blades with new shafts, a Vokey wedge that has not been touched since 2009, a milled Scotty Cameron with a worn paint fill, and a burner driver from 2008 will, for the right player, make up a bag that competes with anything sold new this year. The only thing missing is the marketing budget, and the only thing the marketing budget has ever sold you is the feeling that the bag in the corner is somehow obsolete. It is not. It is just old enough to remember when the industry built things to last. Thanks for watching. If you want more investigations into what the golf industry does not want you to know, stick around.